Hello friends, welcome to UPSC Logics and my name is Siddharth and today we are going to have a look at the introduction of Western education and modern ideas in the Indian subcontinent by the British. So this was done in 5 phases and in this video we shall have a look at the first and the second phase. So the first phase lasted from 1758 to 1812 and the second phase lasted from 1813 to 1853. So we shall have a look at the Asiatic Society that was formed in 1784 and was a part of the first phase, while we shall also have a look at the Macaulay's Minute on Education that were introduced in 1835 and were a part of the second phase. So let us begin this video. Now the English East India Company showed very little interest in education of its subjects during the first phase, and it was only two minor exceptions that were basically the madrasa at Calcutta that was set up by Warren Hastings in 1781 for the study and teachings of Muslim law and related subjects, and the second one was the Sanskrit College at Varanasi that was established by Jonathan Duncan in 1792, and this was done for the study of Hindu law and philosophy, as both were designed to provide a regular supply of qualified Indians to help in the administration of law in the courts of the company. Now let us have a look at the Asiatic Society that was founded on January 15, 1784 by Sir William Jones, and there were 30 members in this particular society who had actually responded to Sir William Jones' call for pursuing various branches of Asiatic studies, and membership to this particular society was voluntary, and till 1829 no Indians were admitted to this society. So the first volume of its publication, Asiatic Researches, was brought out in 1789, and this particular society is basically credited for widespread interest in the field of Indological studies in England and the West, and therefore it has to be given credit for reaching out to the missionaries and other English people who are interested in knowing India better and to spread knowledge in the Indian subcontinent. So let us now have a look at the second phase that lasted from 1813 to 53, and it was due to the strong pressure that was exerted on the company by the Christian missionaries and many humanitarians. Some of them were Indians, and they built up a pressure to encourage and promote modern education in India. So the Charter Act of 1813 came out that required the company to spend rupees 1 lakh annually for education and promoting the knowledge of modern sciences in India. So there were two controversies that arose out of this particular promotion of education. And number one was whether to lay emphasis on promotion of modern Western education or the expansion of traditional Indian learning, and whether to adopt Indian languages or English as the medium of instructions in modern schools and colleges to spread Western learning. Now, there was a controversy whether the emphasis should be laid on promotion of modern Western studies or expansion of traditional Indian ideas. So there was a committee that was formed and it is called Macaulay's Minute on Education, and this was submitted by Thomas Babington Macaulay, who was the president of Committee of Public Instructions, and this particular report was submitted on February 2nd, 1835. So it formed the basis of company's educational policy in India, and it actually marked the victory of so-called Angelists or progressive Indians. Basically, these were the people who were in favor of English education over the Orientalists who preferred to encourage the pursuit of traditional learning. So in January 1835, the two factions of the committee met, and Orientalists were James Sutherland, John Shakespeare, the brother James and Henry Prinsep, and Eliot Magneton. And the Angelists were W. W. Bird, C. B. Saunders, G. A. Bushby, J. R. Colvin, and C. E. Trevelyan. So they put forward their respective arguments before the council, and it was Macaulay who defended the views of the Angelists on the committee. And on the basis of the Macaulay's Minute, Bentinck ruled that all the funds should be diverted to English education alone. And consequently, a resolution that was based on this Macaulay's Minute was accepted by William Bentinck government on March 7, 1835, that proclaimed English as India's official language. Now, the idea of Macaulay's Minute and acceptance of English language as the India's official language was that Macaulay thought that from the new system there would be a class emerging who would be Indian in blood and color of the skin, but would be English in taste, in opinion, in morals, and in intellect. And these Indians would not only act as interpreters between English rulers and the Indian subjects, but also further help education gradually filtering down to the masses. So the whole idea of the downward filtration theory was conceived at Macaulay's Minute, and in fact in 1844 when Lord Hardinge decided to give government employment to Indians that were educated in English schools, the success of English education was assured, and it made good progress in the three presidencies of Bengal, Bombay and Madras, where a number of schools and colleges were opened between 1813 and 1853. So there were three major developments that happened during the second phase. Number one was that there was a great upsurge in activities of the missionaries who did a pioneering work in almost every field of modern education. Then number two was the establishment of medical, engineering and law colleges, which marked the beginning of professional education. And number three was the official sanction that was accorded to the education of girls. So it was done through Lord Dalhousie, and Lord Dalhousie, who is well known for the policy of annexation. If you haven't seen that video, you should watch that video. He was the guy who actually gave official sanction for the education of girls, and that was a great thing which he did. So there were certain drawbacks to the policy as well. In fact, the government's policy of opening a few English schools and colleges instead of a large number of elementary schools led to the neglect of education of the masses, and this was because the government was not willing to spend more than an insignificant amount on education. And this was the place where the downward filtration theory came into place. And it meant that education and modern ideas were supposed to filter down or radiate downwards from the upper classes. So, in other words, a few educated persons from the upper and the middle classes were expected to assume the task of educating the masses and spreading the modern ideas. And this policy continued until the very end of the British rule in practical terms, though it was officially abandoned in 1854. So this brings us to the end of Introduction of Western Education and Modern Ideas Part 1, and we have seen the first phase and the second phase where we have seen the role of Asiatic Society, which was founded by Sir William Jones, and the Macaulay Minute of Education submitted by Thomas Babington Macaulay, and the vision of the Angelists who were actually defending the spread of modern English language as the nation's official language. We have seen that English was proclaimed as India's official language on March 7, 1835 by the William Bentinck government, and we have seen that after 1844 when Lord Hardinge decided to give government employment to Indians educated in English schools, the success of English education was assured, and we have seen how Lord Dalhousie went forward and gave sanctions for the girl education of the girl students. And we have seen that there was a downward filtration theory trend that was actually conceived during the Macaulay Committee or the Macaulay Minutes of Education, and that continued till the end of the British Raj, although it was theoretically disbanded in 1854. So friends, if you have liked this particular video, do like and subscribe to the channel if you're watching it for the first time, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get the latest notifications from UPSC Logics. Thank you so much for watching, and Jai Hind.